I'd like to get started with Mark Johnson, who has kindly consented to talk to us about this C-band issue and the one that lurks just below C-band that you may or may not be aware of. And so, Mark, if you're not already unmuted, please unmute yourself and join us, and let's talk about C-band interference.
I am here, Barry. I am here. Let's see if I can share my screen. If you let me share my screen, I have a presentation.
Go right ahead.
All right, let me get there. Let's get there. There we go. And okay.
There you are.
Thank you.
Sick of the 40-minute time limit, are you?
Oh gosh, I hope everybody's doing well. Let me get started. It has been an incredibly busy year for us. Today, just like most days, we've got everybody on our team out at one corner of the country or another, putting in 5G filters across different markets. And we've been across almost every state in the country so far this year. And we've learned a lot about what's going on. And I wanted to share some of what we've seen and some of what we've learned with you, because I think it'll help you, as we always try to be a resource for you. And so thanks for your time. And, just kind of a recap of where we are at. Of course, C-band is the frequencies at 3,700 megahertz to 4,200 megahertz. That downlink portion of the satellite signal that we've all used since since Westwood and CBS and everybody cut off the landlines December 31st, 1983. And we've been satellite delivery for the majority of our content, and it's been 99.99% reliable for almost 40 years. Ultimately, what 5G wants is they want this area between 3,700 and 4,000 megahertz. They do have the initial clearing, which is what's got to be cleared by December 5th of this year, 3,700 to 3,800 megahertz, and they'll begin operating. My guess would be at 12:01 a.m. Considering the amount of money that they spent for this bandwidth, AT&T and T-Mobile and the different wireless companies, I suspect, will be biting at the bit to start. And just to give you a little bit of how anxious they are, I'm going to show you some announcements about their testing, actual live testing that's going on. So let's get on. Well, let's see. Come on. All right, come on. Go. Well, man. All right, there we go. Just outlining the key entities once again from the mid-band order that went out in December of 2019. The FCC, of course, is running the auction. They ran the auction, running the future auctions, and they're the final arbiter for all issues. Some of you may have been in touch with the Relocation Payment Clearinghouse. They're the folks that are asking you for more and more information so that hopefully you'll get a check. That is, if you took the lump sum option. Relocation Coordinator, they're the folks who, for those that didn't take the lump sum, they're the ones working with USSI and SEG to schedule filter installs. Our folks are doing some of those, but we've got so many of the lump sum customers who need our help that's really taking up the majority of our time. Space station operators, of course, that's SES and Intelsat and Telsat and Eutelsat. Earth station operators, that's you. You're operating a downlink Earth station, and the customers, that's Westwood, Premier, Skyview, folks like that. And let's see. So let's go over what makes a qualified earth station. So that's defined as those of you who are in the FCC's IBFS. So unless you opted out and you're a qualified earth station, everything, the cost reimbursements for whatever you need, whether it's a filter install, or a brand new dish, that's all going to be provided for by the relocation committees. The cost reimbursement, filtering modifications, that can also be done. Qualified earth stations facilitate the activities. It means you help them out. The order has redefined power limits for the areas surrounding your qualified earth station. So there is a zone of inclusion around those earth stations in the IBFS, and that's supposed to be respected by the wireless companies. Non-responsive earth stations, and there have been a few, are folks who are in the IBFS but have not responded to contacts from SEG, Intelsat, the relocation committee, anybody like that. And then there are going to be no earth stations in the U.S. protected for the entire 500 megahertz. We're all going to be limited to that area between 4,000 megahertz and 4,200 megahertz. They will still continue to work on telemetry tracking control. It is protected till 2025, and then they'll make some changes. They're looking to compare affiliate lists with databases, and there's still letters going out. I actually got one somehow or another. I wound up on a station's IPFS for St. Louis, which I never did, and they're apparently a non-responsive station. Nobody's talking to them. So there are two filters. The red filter, which for the most part is limited to television stations and cable head-ends in the top 46 markets, because it allows that area between 3820 and 4000 to pass during the period between 12/5/2021 and 12/5/2023, as they continue to repack the satellites and to launch additional satellites to fill in arc positions not currently occupied or that weren't planned to be replaced. So once capacity increases, they'll move some of those television networks to those new satellites, and they'll be able to clear out that area between 3820 and 4000. But for now, some people need that ability. In the radio community, we're going to be concerned with the blue filter, because all of the radio networks, regardless whether it's NPR and G16 or it's the commercial networks on SES 11, they've all been moved frequency-wise up above 4,000 megahertz. And so the blue filter will give you protection, and you'll just have one install or one visit. So interesting to see what it looks like on a before and after spectrum analyzer picture. This is a site, trying to remember. I think this was ANIC. I think this was ANIC F1 at 107, and a before and after. The before on the left, and the after on the right. And as you know, on the L-band side of C-band, it's actually inverted. So the lower frequencies appear on the right-hand side of the spectrum analyzer. So the frequencies that are blocked are everything to the right. And you can see how the filter does a wonderful job of filtering out those frequencies. So one of the things that has come up, and I don't think we paid enough attention to it going early on, was that the Citizen Broadband Radio Service, the WISPs, have been in that frequency range of 3.55 to 3.7. That was also auctioned off in 2020, but there was no transition period. There was a, hey, here's your frequencies, you're licensed, you can start doing 5G in these areas. And you know, that 3.55 to 3.7 is just as big a problem for C-band LNBs as a signal in the 3.7 to 4 gigahertz range. So 5G is ultimately going to be in that area from 3.55 to 4. And the filter, which we've all talked about, you know, in these timelines of, you know, top 46 markets by December of this year, and the other markets by December of 2023. Actually, you know, we're starting to see signals that are raising the noise floor on LNBs, and in some places, you know, causing actual outages coming from that 3.55 to 3.7. You know, of course, wonderfully, this is a bandpass filter, which you know, has a 70 dB of attenuation below 4 and 20 to 25 dB of attenuation above 4.2. Once you install this, your filter, your blue filter, you're going to be able to attenuate not only future signals in that 3.7 to 4, but you're going to be able to attenuate those signals that we're starting to see already in the 3.55 to 3.7. I've seen it in Honolulu, Hawaii. I've seen it in several other markets. I just sent one of our techs down to St. Petersburg because we believe that a customer has already started seeing that there. So those are immediate issues. So I know some people were thinking, hey, you know, I'll wait and get a filter later. I'm not in the top 46 markets. Well, the 3.55 to 3.7 5G is not held back by that time frame. If they have a license, they can begin in your market today. So they're already starting those signals in some markets. Just to kind of give you an idea of what the signals look like after the filter's on. This is ANIC F3, and you know, the customer's signal got an 11 MNO on it, and it's to the far left, which is actually the top transponder on the satellite, and right there at around 1200, you can see a bump where a signal on the satellite has been filtered out. There's also another bump further down, and we believe that one was a 5G signal that's currently being filtered out by the blue filter that we installed on this facility. So you can see that there's an urgency to go ahead at your earliest convenience, because you're not going to get an announcement about, you know, the 3.55 to 3.7 because Intelsat, SES, the FCC, they haven't really talked about this a whole lot. So you're probably not going to get a notice about 3.5 to 3.7. You will get a notice about things going on in the 3.7 to 4 range. So just to give you an idea of how much is involved with 3.55, they're auction in 2020 raised $4.5 billion. They had 271 qualified bidders. There are actually right now active 22,631 individual licenses for 5G in that range. So if you divided that up, I think it's something like 6 or 7 licenses for every county in the US. Now, I'm sure they're not evenly divided up, but you get the picture that there's a lot of licenses for different markets, and these are in, I think, 10 megahertz allotments for those licenses. So, you know, the potential of one of those being near your downlink is reasonable. So it's important that you protect those downlinks as soon as you can, because it's a critical component to broadcasting. That national content, that regional content, sports, news. You know, Barry was talking about it just as we started on. You know, in an emergency, a national disaster like 9/11, what do? We go to the national news feed. I remember that. I remember being the program director. What was that? 1986, January 1986, when the Challenger blew up off the pad. And when you're a program director on a news talk station in Florida, the space shuttle launches were a huge deal to begin with. You know, those ABC alarms went off, and we spent the next couple of hours taking the long form feed. So in addition to the normal programming that we took off of their news features, C-band, even in 1986, was a huge contribution to the economic viability of our stations. And so on a day-to-day basis, and in the case of a disaster, C-band has served broadcasters well, and it's important to make this filter a priority, because the content's important to you, it's important to your station, and I just don't think I don't think we talked enough about the 3.55 to 3.7 5G signals, and they're just as intrusive as the 3.7 to 4.0s will be beginning in 2023. So, you know, that would be my hope, that if you're waiting on your lump sum check, that you go ahead and make your investment in updating or installing the 5G filter on your C-band antenna, and, you know, protect yourself, and basically protect yourself from some future heartache tomorrow or next month. So the current status of where we're at is FCC did a public notice providing a little more clarity on phase 1, kind of outlining the certification and challenge process for operators and stakeholders. Point 2, the relocation payment clearinghouse is accepting claims. Some of you may have gotten paperwork and requests from them. Their first few emails look like spam, so a lot of people weren't clear as to, you know, who they were and what they were. Point 3, that filtering for the 46 of the top 50 PAs is on track for completion. For Intelsats in September, for others, you know, by November. I think the majority of sites will be already filtered and just about done. So if you have any questions and you're in a top 46 market, C-band info at Intelsat or C-band help at ses.com SES would be obviously for the commercial stations on SES 11. Intelsat would be for the public stations on Galaxy 16. Once again, C-band help at ses.com. One thing interesting, and Chris Hall forwarded this to me. You may get a experimental information about an experimental construction permit. This one happens to be for AT&T in Tallahassee, Florida, out of top 46 market. So they are starting to do some experimentation, firing up some of their units. And here we are, September, and Tallahassee on the 3700 is not supposed to be functional until 2023. So there will be not only the 355 to 37, but there's also going to be experiments on the 37 to 3820 and the 37 to 4. So be aware. And once again, this is information that we try to keep up with, we try to pass on to Barry, so that you can be informed and be aware that things are happening quickly in the 5G area. Intelsat, just so you know, Intelsat mostly with radio is using Wesco. They're using USSI for cable sites, and they're actually sending out harmonic receivers to a lot of cable head ends and TV groups. SES is mostly using USSI for theirs. And so, and as any time, you can always email me or call me if you have any questions, or if you see some interference in your market, we'd love to know about it. So, drop us an email. Any questions?
Mark, one question that might be anticipated here is, what is the typical cost of a 5G filter?
Okay. It's funny. We've seen it kind of all over the place. I mean, we have them in stock for $368. We have the blue filter in stock for $368. We know that there are people out there, selling them for as much as $1,000. I don't even know if those are, the real deal. I would limit myself to microwave filter or alga. We happen to use the alga filters. And the reason I say that is because I know for a fact that those two are working off of the design and the R&D that was done by SES and Intelsat between 2016 and 2020, 2016 to 2020. All that R&D went into the alga and the microwave filter company filters.
Can you perhaps repeat the difference between the red and the blue filter?
Sure can. Let me go back to, and I can show you. It's actually best to show you. Okay. So phase one, the clearing, they're only able to clear out, basically transponder, half a transponder 6 and below, because it's going to take time to move a lot of those cable channels and television feed channels once they have more satellites in orbit. So for the first stage in the top 46 markets, they need access to transponders 7 through 14. So they need access to that until December of 2023. So in those top 46 markets, you can put in a red filter and still have access to everything above 3820. The blue filter is the ultimate, it'll be the end of the road filter, so to speak. You'll only have access to everything from 4 gigahertz to 4.2 gigahertz with the blue filter. Everything below 4 gigahertz will be filtered out. There is a guard band in there of about 20 megahertz. And so the red filter allows the passage of everything above 3820. The blue filter only allows passage from 4 gigahertz to 4.2. Does that help?
It'd be probably a good thing to talk to your provider, and
right.
So you don't have to buy 2 filters unless you have to.
Mark?
Well, yeah, and if you're in radio or cable, you're going to need the 2 filters. You're going to have the 2-stage, especially if you're in a top 46 market. If you're in radio, everybody in radio, all of the SES 11 channels, the Christian radio on SES 2 and NPR on Galaxy 16, they've already moved above 4 gigahertz. So in radio, you should be comfortable. But if you want to double check with your provider, not a bad idea, but you should be comfortable getting a blue filter from the get-go.
Yeah. Hi, Mark. Richard here.
Hey, Richard.
Yeah. Your talk has motivated me to look at putting together a portable horn antenna to go tea hunting to find problems. Might that be a good idea?
Yeah, or you can borrow one of mine. I've got 2 of them.
I have one too, Richard. You can borrow.
You're more than you're more than welcome to use mine anytime. I've got one that works actually off of an LNA. So easy enough.
Yeah, I have some spare C-band LNAs I can plug into it and use it with my my now expanded spectrum analysis.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was Bert said he has one too. So
yeah, I have an L&B on it also. You could use it.
Okay. So yeah. But you guys, Bert, you or Richard, either one, you're welcome to borrow ours anytime.
Okay.
Thank you. Mark, I have a question for you, and that is I'm trying to picture the response of this blue filter. And I'm wondering from below 4,000 to where you start seeing the 5G, or at 4,000, what the knee of that filter looks like, and what the insertion loss is from 4,000 to 4,200, and also what the passband ripple looks like.
But you know what? I've actually got files of all that. Why don't I send it to you, and I'll send a copy to Barry if he wants to use it. But yeah, I've got a copy of that. But what you just a simple answer on the drop off. But in that, from that 20 meg band at 38 or at 4,000 to 3980. At 3980, it's down 60 dB. It's the sharpest. It's one of the sharpest filters I've ever seen, and I've actually, I've obviously seen it in action.
I'm going to mention something that I heard earlier today, and you mentioned how busy you guys are, but what was mentioned to me was a comment you had made to someone in a market that if 3 or 4 stations got together to have you come in and take a look, you would not be charging them any travel expenses.
I think we were making like a minimal number for most places, like $100 or something for travel. I mean, just minimal travel. And if we were already in that market, on another project, obviously, the same type thing. But we'll do our best to eliminate or limit travel expenses if we can.
Well, that's what I was getting at, that you guys want to help folks out in the field. And although appointments are a little difficult because of how busy you are anxious to work with folks and help
Yep.
them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we're kind of jammed up this month. Next month is, pretty seriously full. I think we'll have a little bit more room in November.
Are you
So,
planning to be at Las Vegas for NAB?
That's looking tough.
I know. I talked to Karen about it. What your current feeling is.
It's that list in October is pretty serious, and if I'm usually not one to miss the NAB,
But spring is more likely.
but yeah, spring is likely. I've been going to the NAB since the one in Atlanta in 1989. So it was really odd back in April not to be there. So
Ken Fine asks, if you did everything the FCC said to do when they asked stations to license satellite receivers, and you actually have interference, who pays for the filter?
all right, so you're a registered,
A licensed satellite receiver.
so I'm assuming he's registered in the IBFS.
Ken, speak up.
Ken, turn on your mic.
Yes,
Ken.
we did it corporately.
Okay, so you're registered. All right, good. So did you take the lump sum?
I don't know.
Which corporation are
Corporate
you?
main office took care of that, and I don't know if they did or not.
Which corporation are you in?
I'm sorry, what?
What's your corporation?
No Allmark Broadcasting out of El Dorado, Arkansas.
Okay. I have the list of everybody who didn't take the lump sum, that spreadsheet. So if you will message me your email, I'll go in and take a look at it. But the point would be, if you didn't take the lump sum, then SES would send USSI to your location, or if you've got an Intelsat bird, USSI would, Intelsat would send SEG. So USSI or SEG would come and do it if you didn't take the lump sum. If they took the lump sum, which is $8,948 per downlink, per polarization, then it would be on you. So, and give you an example, our typical filter and just an install is, around $1,000. So we did this for a station in Alabama, Southeast Alabama, and I got a call from the engineer the other day, and he said, "Oh, we've been in touch with this COPA group, and they want to send us like almost $9,000. Is that right? Because it didn't cost us that to get a filter on." I said, "Yep, that's right. That's what they're going to pay you, whether you need a new dish or whether you just need a filter. It's all the same." So if you just need a filter, you come out ahead. If you need a whole dish, you're probably going to come out a little underwater on that.
Yeah, Mark, isn't there some risk that somebody in the government will come back and want to do accounting someday in the future?
Well, my understanding, there's going to be a 10% audit, and I haven't seen anything that said that's limited to people who didn't opt out. So I haven't seen anything about that. Our thought is whether they're going to audit the lump sum people or not, if you have an interference issue in the future and you lose your downlink availability, and you have to, petition the FCC for some relief or help, first thing that I think they're going to do is ask you, what did you do with the $8,948? Yeah.
If you don't have a good answer, that could be a very expensive
Exactly.
gift.
Yep.
Mark, Bert here. Just
Mhm.
curious, what is the cost of the blue filter if I were just to buy one outright? And
If you wanted one from me, it'd be $368.
okay, and that's flange to flange, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mark,
comes-
it's Eric in Phoenix, Arizona.
Hey, Eric.
Hi. I put this on chat as well. Can you comment on radar altimeter interference, especially to the NPR stations, transponder 23 on Galaxy 6?
Well,
Sometimes,
and that's the point I talked about, the 20 to 25 dB of attenuation above 4,200.
Yeah.
That is the about the same as the old TI filters that we always use, because the idea is to lower insertion loss, and the insertion loss on this is really better than the old TI filters, because I don't think I finished that in my conversation to Bert there, but it's about a half a dB max.
I know sometimes with Doppler effect,
Mhm.
as airplanes coming or going away, the frequency will shift down into the passband, and you'll get a hit sometimes.
Yeah. Well, the best thing you can do is to, and I think probably more so than a hit, it's usually an overloading of that LNB,
Okay.
because and this is the thing we have to think about in terms of not only the altimeter but also the 5G. Those are all things that are really kind of close proximity type stuff. The 5G's got to have enough signal to reach a handheld unit 2,000 feet away, right? They're going to build one of those transmitters every 2,000 feet. So we've got a system with a dish and an LNB that's designed to pick up, a half a watt, 22,000 miles away. So an altimeter comes by, and that LNB, the noise floor just goes bananas, and I've seen it with the 5G test signal, that it just wipes out the entire thing, because it just drives the noise floor up. So the best thing you can do is put that 5G filter on and let it replace that TI filter.
Which we did. Also, I've seen there's a new breed of LNB, I think Norsat, but I'm not 100% positive, incorporates the blue filter characteristics into the LNB itself. Is that an improvement, or do you have any experience with that?
I have heard about it. I've looked at the specs. It's about the specs. Once again, it's not, their filter's not necessarily the SES Intelsat design, the R&D. So it's about, if I remember looking at the specs, the maximum attenuation was only 60 dB down, as opposed to 70 dB down. And I think the 70 dB down is going to be critical.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And the other thing is, if something goes wrong with one or the other, you lost it all in one
package.
In one package.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Anything else? Let me get out of the stop share so I can see the. Let's see, so I can get out of the. Let's see.
Yeah, while you're doing that, I will also, I'll take advantage of the moment to point out right here on the front page of the BDR. This is the article that Karen wrote about this situation, 3.5 to 3.7 area. And we encourage folks that will take some time and and take a look at it later in the day, maybe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to look over and see if I was missing anything in the chat. So, all right, Ken, I got your number there, or your email. So,
You know, who'd have ever thought this satellite used to be our best link
mm-hmm.
for long distance, and now this is happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, first time I heard about it, I almost dropped my jaw. I was like, of all the things that you could mess with, please don't mess with this one. But I think, you know, if we all update our antennas and we replace our, replace our filters, put the blue filter in, I think it'll be it'll be a non-issue ultimately for us, those of us in radio. And the great thing about us in radio is, and you double check with your provider, but I've been kind of keeping an eye on this with SES and Intelsat, and everybody in radio should be up above 4 gig or 4,000 megahertz, however you like to say it. And the ability to just go straight to the blue filter, document it, and then, let your dish do its thing like it's been doing for the last 40 years.
Well, we put a new dish in a few years back when they changed the satellites and they weren't down on the end anymore.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was that, and the fact that you're going to be 2-degree compliant, is also part of just making this work more effectively and more efficiently.
So I put that new dish in. I thought, well, that's that. I don't ever have to worry about this again.
Yeah. Well, when we get done, Ken, I'll take a look at that spreadsheet, and then see if your group's on there, and then let you know whether you were a lump sum or whether you.
I was just curious. I quit 2 months ago. I don't work there anymore after 13 years. But I was just thinking, I was just asking the question, and then y'all said, "Well, who you with?" With machine guns pointing at me. So.
No, I just wanted to look it up on the spreadsheet.
We'll get the sound effects ready, Ken.
Yeah, and then I'll send Bert the specs.
Okay. Mark, thank you so very much for this information that you and Karen have put together. It certainly is important, and everybody needs to critically pay attention to the satellite signals that they're getting. Radio a little less so apparently than TV, but everybody wants to know what's going on out there.
Yeah, well, always my pleasure, and of course we love Broadcasters Desktop Reference, and always happy to be a resource to broadcast engineers.